good evening. Hello, hello. Welcome to today's live stream. And we are in week 2 of Aloha 25 October. And this month is also Birdtober. So this particular challenge is actually inspired by another challenge, Inktober, which is pretty famous, I think, at this point, every year in October. And I wanted to, because I'm participating in Birdtober, combine two challenges or two prompts of my challenge and their challenge. So today we're going to draw this little fella, the Costas hummingbird, and the main color of my challenge this month is purple. So I just looked at the prompt list of Birdtober and looked for purple colored birds, and I think there are 2, and this was one of them. Okay, let me turn the camera around and let's get started. All right, here we go. So as you can see, there's commercials rolling, so let's get rid of those. Okay. So I'm working with really small sketchbooks today, making sure that I'm zooming in enough that you can see what I'm doing. Okay, let me look over to the chat. Hello, hi Carrie. Oh, we have another Carrie. Hi Suze, hi Steph, hi Mom, Laura, hi Kerstin, hi Tracy. Oh, how lovely everyone is here. Hello, hello. Okay, I don't need all these markers. Let's put this one out here. Okay, so, oh yeah, this is the current prompt of Birdtober. So let me write it down in case you guys haven't heard of it yet. So this challenge, Birdtober, is hosted by A Holmes Studio over on Instagram every year. And by the way, whoever finishes the challenge can actually receive a sticker and postcard from her. So I got one last year. I think this is a different challenge though. I have too many sketchbooks. I'm not sure. I think this last year was in another sketchbook. Anyways, this is, I think, the 3rd year I'm participating in Birdtober. And the first year I did it with gouache and ink, and I really went overboard, and I kind of stressed myself out. It was a lot. So the last 2 times, actually the last time in this one, I decided to just stay in a really small sketchbook and use my go-to technique of brush pen shapes and then details with colored pencil. And because some of you have shown some interest in this particular technique, I thought I'll show you that one today. So, okay. The Costas hummingbird is actually bird for day 14 of the challenge, and I think we're only on day 9. So I figured I'm just gonna move forward and, you know, go to bird 14, Costas hummingbird. So we'll have 3 in between. So it's gonna be the Arctic tern for Tracy. If you notice in the chat, we have somebody called Arctic tern. That is Tracy. And then the the falcon. I'm going to put that over here. And I will have a whole double page for the gray heron, which is day 13. And then today's bird, the Costa's hummingbird, will go on this double page spread. I counted the pages beforehand, so I have enough pages to do some of the birds on one side and some of the birds on a whole double page spread. Hi Nina. Hi Melanie. Welcome to the stream. Okay, I sent out a newsletter yesterday with the template, and let's see, I was kind of vague with the materials just because honestly it's kind of difficult for me to use just like one or two colors when I use my brush pens. So as you can see, I'll have a whole bunch today. And the reason is that I basically use these pastel colors more for the background and for blocking in the shapes of my birds. So they don't actually give the end result of the color. This is more just to get started and to create a base layer. So that's why I have all these different ones. And then these two colors are mostly for this really abstract background. So they're not even going to go into the bird itself. So I have a pastel green and blue for the background today. And then like a peach color, pastel yellow. And then this is called pink beige, which is kind of like a light brown. Mostly for the tail of the bird. And then here for the branch. I have a light gray and different types of purple, and you can see I'm using different brands as well. So I have a really dark purple and then two vibrant reddish purples here. Hold on, the chat disappeared. Let me see if I can, yeah, there it is. Do you guys need the numbers or color names of these brush pens? I'm happy to write them down in the description later on. But honestly, for you, if you have similar colors, you know, like pastel-y, very light colors in like pink and beige tones, then work with those, or a light green would work as well, and just different types of purple. Or you can just work in watercolor today as well. The technique is the same. I would just recommend maybe using a different paper, because this is these are both Royal Talens Art Creation sketchbooks. These are the ones with the white paper, and the paper can take a lot. I mean, I've thrown so many things at this paper, but don't drown it in watercolor. So the paper is perfect for brush pens. If you're using the same technique as I'm using today, this is perfect. And I forgot this color here. This is like this is called Praline, another brown color. Then I have some colored pencils. This is both a mix of water soluble and regular pencils. I have a dark purple. I have two dark browns. I'm probably only going to use one. And then this brownish beige color. Oh, that's funny. I just made it up and it actually says brownish beige. And then this light moss green here as well. And then for the watercolor finish here, you can see it shimmers and changes. So this is the one watercolor I will be using. So it's really just for the accented highlights. It's called Mauna Loa, and it's one of my own handmade watercolors. It's a metallic duochrome shimmer. But again, you can just use, if you have metallic watercolor in this color, just use whatever you have. And honestly, I mean, if you don't have a blue or purple watercolor in metallic, you can also just use, I'd say maybe a silver, just something that shimmers. Okay. So Melly says it's been a while since I joined one of your streams. Ah, that's okay. I know it's kind of tricky because I always do them on a different day, you know, whatever fits into my schedule. So I think it would be more prudent to do it always on the same day of the week. Maybe someday. Okay, as I said earlier, I sent a newsletter around with the template, and let's just break it down real quick. So we have our little hummingbird here. I usually like to start with just some lines to get to know my bird shape better. So this one, I'd say, is the most important line here because it connects the beak of the bird or the bill of the bird with the eye, and those are going to be on the same line here. See? So if you have this line down, once you have it down, you already have the position of the bill and the eye. And then I think the other thing to look out for is how big your bird will be. So we have one circle for the head and another one which is bigger for the belly. So I'd say it's almost double, right? So this is one, maybe 1.5, and then another shape here for the tail. And I think that's approximately the same size as the head. So the whole bird is like this size here, then double approximately, and then another one down here. So whenever you see a bird, and especially when you look at a bird reference photo, try to look at it in shapes or break it down into shapes that are easier for you to understand and to bring onto your paper. Okay, over in the chat, Sue says, I'm away for 3 weeks, so I might not be able to join in. Depends what day it is on. That's okay, I'm gonna be away too. I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to do a live stream, but I want to, definitely. And Melanie says, I'm glad I catch this one. Usually my life just gets into my way. Yeah, I get it. And it's late for you guys. It's 9 p.m. over in Germany, so I do get that not everybody can join that late. And Mom says, Keiko-chan, shimmer blue color is so beautiful. Yeah, it's one of my favorites too. It's purple blue. It's named after one of our volcanoes here on the island. And when you drive over to that volcano, there's a certain time of day where the whole mountain shimmers in this color, even though the actual rocks there are more reddish and brown. It's probably the haze of the sky or something that is just gorgeous. Okay, hold on. Let me get some more tea before we get started. I have some wonderful black tea here from Bremen, Germany. This one's called Babela. It has natural peppermint oil in it. It's amazing. It's like eating candy cane, but drinking it as a tea. It's absolutely wonderful. Okay, you guys, let's get started. So I'm gonna put this little bird here for you as a reference. I'm gonna put the template up here. All right. I want to say just one little quick thing about this sketchbook, because there is a big difference between these ones and the old ones or the original ones. Let me just grab one of the other ones real quick. You might be wondering why I keep my sketchbooks in plastic bags. This is just because of the humidity. I have to unfortunately do that because otherwise they mold. Yeah, we usually have over 90% humidity here, so that's how I keep them safe. But do you notice the difference? I think you can see it. This is the cream colored one, This is what they were like for the longest time, and you know, they still sell them, the cream colored ones. And I really do love the new ones with the white paper. However, the paper is different. The white paper soaks up the paint much faster. So you have to work faster, which is not for everyone. But I really do love the white color in the sense that it shows the particular technique that I like much better than on the cream colored paper. So because I use these transparent mediums like brush pens, the color just shows up better. Okay, I'll put this back later. It makes too much noise. All right, so I have my pencil that I will be using for the sketch, my kneaded eraser. I also have a jelly roll pen, just in case I need to add a little dot for the eye. Okay, so let's get started. I'm gonna zoom in a little more, just a little bit. Okay, so as I explained earlier, let's start with our 2 lines. Okay, number 1, so slightly curved. And then let's decide where the eye is gonna be. I'd say we'll put it around here, and then let's do a line across. So our bird is looking up a tiny little bit. It's not a parallel line, okay? So it's gonna be at a slight angle like this. And then we're gonna make the 3 circles, 1 for the head, 1 for the body. And notice how I put the elliptic shape for the belly or the body slightly to the right. So here's the head, and then you go slightly to the right for the belly, and then we go back to the left and add a little triangle for the tail. So you have different axles here. So you have a curved line here for the overall composition. You have a line to connect the bill and the eye. Actually, I'd say that's a bit too low. For, you know, where I put the head, but we can probably remedy this in a second. Then the elliptic shape for the belly is slightly to the, like, going out towards the right, like this. And then the tail on the left-hand side. Then we're gonna add the feet. It's kind of like a little line here. And then two clamps. Okay, and let's see what I can do about the head and the eye. So right now, I think my eye is too far below, it's too much down. So let's do another line parallel to the first one. Let's put it a bit higher. Yeah, I think that's better. So let's forget about the first one. This is where the eye will go. Here in the crosshair. And then this is where the bill is. Try to keep the bill very slim. It's gonna naturally just grow on you later on when you fill it in with paint. So just overdo it with the slimness of the bill. Like, keep it very slim, okay? And then it'll get bigger, don't worry. It's the same with when you paint the moon. You know, you start with a little tiny circle shape, and then it just gets bigger and bigger in the painting, and in the end it's like this huge blob in the sky. I'm already gonna erase my help lines from the start, or that I put in the beginning. And now we have our 2 circles here and our little tail. Now let's refine the shape of the head. So from the beak here, We go up, and then these hummingbirds have very cute crown-like feathers at the top of their head. So it's not just a rounded curve, as with lots of birds. Around the eye, they have a white shape, so we're not gonna paint that one. We're gonna leave it white. And so we don't forget, just gonna mark it in. I think it's actually, let me see. Okay, I'm gonna redraw the line a bit higher up. I think I mentioned this in other live streams because I look at this from such a weird angle. I don't always get the proportions right. And I have to kind of tilt it so I can look at it from a different angle. All right, let's move on to the underside of the head. So from the beak, again, you draw a little curved line like that. And then that line goes into the neck. What makes this bird stand out so much is that the throat plumage is, or plumage, is it plumage? The throat feathers are stunning. So these are the most, probably the most stunning part of the bird. And what I found really interesting when I watched a video of these birds was that they almost seem to detach from the rest of the body. So it's kind of like they're wearing a helmet or a hat. So all this purple on their head, they can turn it. So when they turn the head, this whole all these purple feathers move with the head. It's absolutely amazing. It looks so amazing because then it shimmers also. Depending on where the light hits these feathers, they shimmer in blue and purple. Super beautiful. Okay, so how's everybody doing with the head shape? So I always have to remember that birds are really easy for me at this point because I've been drawing birds for years now, almost daily. But as with everything, it really depends. If you don't do it often, then it's really difficult. So if you want me to explain something again, just let me know, okay? So this is the head, and I do think my eye is a bit too low actually still. Okay, let me fix that. So I think today is a little bit of a demonstration day in the sense of Kik was not getting things right, has to redo things. Let's go back with our line, and then we place the eye a little bit higher. It probably would have been okay. It's just, I guess, you know, the downside of drawing so many birds is also that my perfectionism then likes to take over more than if I draw something new and then I'm like, oh yeah, that's fine. It looks like a bear-ish. But yeah, with birds, I think I'm just more critical. Okay, let's leave that alone. Let's go over to the belly. So the belly actually starts here at this spot. So from here out, you draw the chest like that. So the particular way this bird sits, and in this reference photo too, is that it almost looks like a peach. So the chest is kind of like divided into these two parts, one here and then one over there. They also have different color feathers. So these here and this part, they're more grayish, and then there's a really white part in the center here, and then another part with more gray feathers. So this is the chest, and then the back is curved. Just making sure my bird doesn't look too wide. Again, in this particular reference photo, the bird did look very plump. Okay, and then the tiny wedge for the tail. And the only thing that's missing at this point is the branch. Make sure you draw the branch so that the feet look natural when they're sitting on the branch. And if you're using a double page spread like I'm doing right now, then of course you can add maybe a few more branches here just to make it a bit more interesting to fill the page. So I've been doing my whole Birdtober challenges, all of them by drawing my bird and then also adding some lettering. Again, I know this is not a skill that's just, you know, that just falls from the sky, so you really don't have to add lettering. You can also, if you want to have letters on here, you can use stamps or just do a very, you know, simplified lettering. And in this particular challenge, I also add some fun facts. I don't think I have looked up fun facts for this bird yet. Or have I? Actually, I did do that. Where's my other sketchbook? Just 1 minute, you guys. I'll give you a minute to finish your pencil sketch while I retrieve my sketchbook from another plastic bag. Nope, not there. Oh, okay. Hold on. Sorry about that, you guys. I'll be right back. All right, this sketchbook was in my drying cabinet. So I do have different methods of keeping my things dry. I do have a so-called drying cabinet, which looks like a safe, but it has a built-in mechanism that reduces the humidity. So I have it at 50% humidity right now. Let me zoom out. Last week when I started thinking about this live stream and how to do that one, I actually made different sketches, and look at that, cool facts. So these particular hummingbirds eat nectar from 1,800 flowers every day. Now the scientists don't go and follow, I think, a bird every day. It's not like that. I think it's more like, for some reason they know how much energy these birds use per day, and then they know how much energy one of these flowers delivers in the nectar, and then they kind of do the math. But man, I mean, these birds eat all day just to live. They eat and sleep, and that's all they do. So the birds were named after a friend of the naturalist who found the birds, which I find interesting because I think usually people name the animals they find after themselves, or I think that's the truth. That's true in a lot of cases, isn't it? So this guy, Jules Boursier, found the bird, but then named it after his name, his friend, Costa de Beauregard, in 1839. And then what I found the most fascinating, other than eating so much, is that they can lower their body temperatures and lower their heartbeat. So the regular heartbeat for these birds when they're just sitting. So when they're just sitting around awake is 500 to 900 beats per minute. That's like so crazy. In what's called the torpid state, they lower their heartbeat to 50 beats per minute. So now we have it like at every second and a little bit, you know, like dung, dung. I mean, that's such a big difference. Isn't that fascinating? And they do that when it's very cold at night. And, you know, it is to save energy, of course. So just a few interesting facts about these birds. And I still, you know, I'm still waiting. This is one of my, you were probably going to laugh about this, but yeah, one of my biggest wishes in my life is I want to see a hummingbird in real life. I haven't seen one yet. And I know that these birds actually occur in on the continent. So in the Southwest and also in Mexico. So I would love to see one. But where I grew up and where I live now and where I have traveled to in the world, I've never seen a hummingbird. Crazy, I know. So let's get back to our little birdie. Okay, I'm just looking over to the chat. So Melanie says, I'm just enjoying watching you draw and paint. And yeah, thank you and talk story so much today. Tracy Arctic Turn says, nice foil lettering on the pink sketchbook. Yeah, it was a gift. So this was given to me as a gift. And they got it from Stifteliebe, which is a super cute store in Germany, run by a really nice couple. And they offer this as a service when you buy the sketchbook. You can just have, I think, pretty much anything written on the cover if it's not too long. I'm rolling my kneaded eraser over my pencil lines just to lighten them up a little bit. So when I do this just by myself, not in a live stream, I keep these lines super faint. I actually don't use a pencil. I mostly use colored pencil, you know, to kind of blend it in with my design and the colors later. But I think for demonstration purposes, pencil's actually pretty good. Steph says, come to Canada, we can look for hummingbirds. Ah, you even have, I've been to Canada, I didn't see hummingbirds. Probably because I came in the winter. How stupid of me. I could have seen hummingbirds. Okay, let's zoom in a little bit again. Okay, now it's color blocking time. So the way I go about this is I start very light. So even though I know this bird is gonna be super purple and dark later on, my first layer is always a very light layer that is kind of similar to the end color, but not quite. So I fill out this whole head, all the head feathers, with my light pink. This is called Pastel Red 381 by Ecoline Brushpen. Okay, boom, done. And oops, and then I go to this pink beige color 374 Ecoline, and I fill out not the whole body space. I kind of just go in with very broad strokes like this. Make sure you leave out the white space here in the belly, this one here. So just leave it white, show the white of the paper. And Carrie says, the Anna's hummingbird has left our region and flown south for the winter. I've seen pictures of the Anna's hummingbird. I think they actually came up when I looked for this one. They seem to be a bit similar. Moni says, ciao da Venezia. Oh, yes. Oh, wonderful. So Monica is in Venice, Italy right now. And watching the live stream. How fun. Thank you. That honors me. Same color, the pink, what is it? Pink beige. Blocking in the colors for the branch the bird is sitting on. Okay, here we go. So this is pretty much the best technique for me to overcome you know, the blank page syndrome. So when you're sitting in front of a double page spread and maybe you're not having a great day, then I find for myself this is the best technique to get started. So where's my gray? Here it is. So I have this is Cool Gray 1 by Karin. So next step, I'm already thinking about shades or shadows. So with this one, I'm gonna go over the areas where I know I want things to be darker later on. And the sun is hitting the bird from the top, which means that wherever there is something that stands out a little, there will be shadow underneath. The tail is pretty dark. The feet will be dark. Certain parts of the branch will be darker. On the underside. And you can, if you like, also put in a little bit of a dark line here at the bottom of, or the underside of the bill. So just like with watercolor, there is definitely an ugly phase with the brush pens, which is, I'd say it's now, right now. Okay, Melanie says, I'm going to add my little hummingbird to the week 1 prompt of Aloha 25 October. That's brilliant. Remember you guys, we had the wreath last week? Oh man, yeah, that's beautiful. That would, super. Why didn't I think of that? Okay, next step. You know, at this point, there are two options. Now I could already go in and do all the details with colored pencils, and there are some, you know, examples where I do that. However, for this one, I want to do one more layer with brush pens just because the feathers on the head of the bird are so pronounced and standing out. So let's grab whatever purples we have, purple brush pens. And I'm going to start with the lightest color, which is also by Karin, and it's a neon red lilac. This one is a bit different. This is a real bristle brush pen. So it doesn't have a felt tip like the others I've been using, but this one has real bristles, nylon bristles. And you can do really fine lines or really broad strokes. So with this one, I'm gonna go over the head feathers up here. So this is pretty much where the sunlight hits the bird from up here. So kind of like top left. So all these feathers will get this pink color. And then down here and on this side. Okay, and then next, this is a slightly darker color. This is a Tombow 665. I guess they don't give their pens names, they just have these numbers. So it's only slightly darker. I'm going over the head and I'm leaving little bits of the pink that I just previously used. And don't forget to leave white around the eye, okay? So don't go all the way to the eye, but leave this white space. If you run into problems with your paper, it really depends what you're using. So if you're experiencing some pilling, you have to let the paper dry before you add the next layer. I mean, even though we're not working with watercolor, this is of course also a medium that has a little bit of water in it. I mean, these pens are water-based brush pens. So you got to be a bit careful, you know, if you go over the same spot with brush pens and you just rub the paper, you might have some pilling of the paper going on. So just wait a little. It's always good to just jump into another part of the bird and, you know, leave that to dry for a little bit. And moving on to another Karin marker. This is called Praline 385. And I'm just filling out the tail here. I'm switching to my pastel yellow, Ecoline 226. So in most of the photos I looked at of this bird, the bird had a little bit of a green tint on the belly. You can use either a little bit of green or yellow. And let's go in and make those feet a little darker. This is my dark purple. It's very blue. It's very bluish. Ultramarine violet, it's called. 507. You can also use a dark gray or any kind of, pretty much any kind of dark color you have, because we're gonna go over everything with the colored pencils. And this is still a bit moist, so I'm just gonna start with my wild background. So just really quick wild strokes with my light pastel green brush pen and my light blue one. Okay, let's try. So I have the ultramarine violet purple, the same one I used for the feet. Going back into the head here and adding more shadows, and also, you know, I mean, they are details already, feather details to my bird with little strokes. And then up here, also little strokes going around. I actually think I used a different, yeah, I can see that with the original here, I didn't use a dark brush pen, or maybe a different color. I can't remember. It definitely looks a bit different here, but that's all right. And a dark line here on the underside of the bill. Okay, all right, and now it's time for the colored pencils. So this is all I do usually, or even less with the brush pens before I start in with my colored pencils. Okay, again, I have, what do I have here? Like my light moss green. This is actually called Lime Zest by Prismacolor. I have two Luminance. This one is called Violet, and then this is a dark indigo. I have a Faber Castell Albrecht Dürer Walnut Brown, and this is a Karin Super Color brownish beige. I wonder if I need another color. Maybe something, something else for the head. Yeah, let's see. I kind of feel like maybe another lighter purple, or maybe even a pink. Not sure. Maybe. So this is a Mitsubishi watercolor light carmine. All right, any questions, you guys, so far? So good? Okay, I'm gonna leave the head alone for now, even though it's very tempting to draw in the head first. But it's still drying, so I'm gonna leave that alone. Okay, I'm gonna start with this brownish beige watercolor pencil. It really doesn't matter if you use regular or watercolor pencil at this point. I just pretty much chose the colors for the colors and not for what they are. So that's why I also have a mix of both regular pencils and water-soluble colored pencils today. Okay, as you can see, I'm doing scribbles. So I'm doing both scribbly lines like that, and also just very short bursts of strokes. You always want to make sure that you follow the line or the shape of what's lying underneath. So remember, when we drew the chest, we did an overall elliptic shape and then two smaller shapes, kind of like a peach. And you always want to follow that curve. So don't make your lines too straight all the way down. You want to emphasize that this is a nice rounded shape that we have here. And also make sure that you stop in between it and you look at the overall appearance of the bird. You know, is it getting too dark or is it still too light? For this bird, the head will just stand out no matter what you do. It will be like the big exclamation mark in the whole composition. It's just how it is, you know, it is really how the bird is in nature as well. It's just so stunning. So the body will always be number 2 compared to number 1, which is the head. I switched to my walnut brown. dark brown watercolor pencil to add a few more details here in the tail. This is also a really good one to add some shades. And because this is a watercolor pencil or a water-soluble pencil, it is very soft and more opaque than regular colored pencils. So I can really go over my brush pen strokes and make them almost disappear, but I do like to have them show through my colored pencil strokes. So I don't want to completely cover up the brush pen layer underneath. So as this is a very dark color, I'm careful not to press down too hard and also to not add too many strokes. Just a few, I think that's actually enough. Now I'm switching to my dark indigo. This is a regular color pencil, so I really have to make sure everything is pretty dry. If you're unsure about that, you can use a hair dryer, just like with watercolor. Okay, let's start with the feet. So I give this a little bit more drying time up here. Add a line on the underside of the bird's feet. So this is acting as shadows, and then on this side as well. And you can add a few details, a few marks on the feet. If you want to add some claws or nails, then now is a good time. Much easier to do this with colored pencil than with a brush pen. If you feel that your tail here is not dark enough, you can go over everything one more time with your dark indigo and add another layer. I kind of think it's dark enough. It's actually way darker than in my original drawing. Let's add some shadows here at the bottom of the throat feathers. We want to emphasize that the bird is actually capable of moving the whole head, including all the purple feathers. So to separate that, we can emphasize the shadows here. So it really stands out even more. So not just through the bright color, but also through the shadow we're adding here. This is true for anything and everything you draw. Shadows can help you to separate things within your illustration and to make them stand out more as well. The advantage of a regular colored pencil is that because it is harder than the water-soluble colored pencil, you can get way more thin, crispy lines. So details, if you want to do fine details, this is when you want to grab your regular colored pencil. If you want to have something more opaque to cover up the background, that's when you want to use your water-soluble colored pencil. Okay, I think this really is enough for the body of the bird. I don't want to overwork it. So let's go and work on the head. I'm gonna zoom in a little more. Okay, so over in the chat, Melanie says, don't expect too much from my bird. Hey, that's okay. I mean, it's late where you're at. Don't worry about it. And Carrie says, a poetess. Week 1 wreath is complete now with this week's Costas. Can't wait to see it. It's gonna look so great. A wreath and a bird. That goes so well together. I love it. It's a beautiful idea. Okay. Hey, you guys want to do the eye? I always save the eye for last, but it's so satisfying to do the eye, so I kind of treat myself to the eye, you know. But let's do it now. So, the eye shape. Start with like a semicircle. Oh, that looks kind of cute too, doesn't it? It's kind of like bird is sleeping. Aww. You can leave it like this if you like your bird to be asleep. This would be a good sleeping pose too, wouldn't it? Or it could think something. You could make a little bubble here and write something cute in there too. If you do want your eye open, then add another line here at the top. So the overall shape of this eye is kind of like a lemon, elliptic shape. Then we want to draw in most of the eye dark, but leave out some white highlight on the top right corner and fill in the rest with your dark color. In this case, I'm using dark indigo. This could work. I think it's a bit too much white at this point still, so I'm just gonna very slowly fill in a little bit more. And I did give my bird some eyelashes, which, you know, it's not eyelashes. It's actually just part how the feathers are. I looked very closely at the reference photo, and it did look like eyelashes, but it's not. Let me show you another bird from the other day. The helmet shrike, I think it was called. What a name too. Yeah, this one. And it really had a part around the eye that looked like a sunflower. So it's so interesting. Yeah, so to pay attention to what the eye of a bird looks is, to me, it's really important. I feel like you can show the character of the bird even more when you pay close attention to the eye, to the shape, but then you can also change it a little bit to fit your style better. So I'm never drawing the eye completely realistically. I do change it to fit my style. Okay, I'm staying with my dark indigo, and now I'm gonna add a shadow right underneath the bill here, where it goes over into the head, so it casts a shadow underneath like this, and then with some little strokes adding more darkness to the underside here of the throat area. Another reason I'm creating so much dark space here is in order for the shimmer watercolor to show up later, you need a dark layer underneath. So if I didn't add metallic watercolor, this one, to my bird, I wouldn't darken it so much. If you don't use metallic watercolor today, don't add too much of the dark colored pencil, just a little bit. And as I said earlier, you can also use a jelly roll pen, a metallic jelly roll pen, to add a few highlights here in the feathers if you don't have metallic watercolor at hand. So I'm not even sure if that's, is this even, that's not metallic. Okay, I don't have a metallic watercolor, metallic jelly roll pen at hand, but just showing you, you can do little highlights with just a white jelly roll pen on your feathers, and that'll work as well. So just for those of you who don't have metallic watercolor, you can just do this with some kind of a light colored metallic or non-metallic jelly roll pen. Okay, so before we add the watercolor, I want to go and finish my branch. Oh, I just lifted the whole phone stand out of the socket. Oh my goodness. Okay, we're good. What a day. As you can, I don't know if you can tell, but I'm not, 100% today. So it's, I'm not ill or anything. It's just I'm very tired. For some reason I didn't sleep so well. So it's all a bit fuzzy today. Okay, I am back with my brownish beige watercolor pencil and just adding a few strokes to my branch. I'm not holding this pen in a death grip. I'm holding it very loosely and just also very loosely adding a few strokes, a little bit of texture here to my branch. And again, I want to have the underlying brush pen layer shine through, so not covering it up completely. Adding a few strokes with my darkish brown, mostly to the underside of the branch. I could add a little bit more here because the bird is casting a shadow onto the branch. So we said in the beginning the light is coming from top a little bit to the left. Could add a little bit more texture here in the branch, some knots, some branch details. All right. Did you notice we didn't even use the moss green at all? So I guess I didn't need that today, unless I wanted to go back in and put a little bit more color in the bird, but I don't think it's necessary. So just so that I am using it, I'm adding a little bit of green to my branch, but that's totally optional. It's not really necessary. I also never got around to use the bright reddish pink watercolor pencil. So I guess we are kind of sticking to that, to my own rule for my challenge to use purple plus one more color. Well, not really, because we used pink and brown and yellow. It's really hard to just use two colors. I mean, I could, but I guess it's just a little more fun to use a few more colors, isn't it? All right, so okay, so we have two more things to do, the lettering and then the metallic watercolor. Again, this is my own handmade watercolor, Aloha watercolors. This one's called Mauna Loa, after one of our volcanoes. We have 5 on the big island of Hawaii. Zooming in again. And hopefully, because I have this at an angle now, you'll see the nice shimmer. There are different ways to use this watercolor. You can either use it with a lot of water, make it very thin, but in this case, I want to have a very opaque mix. So I'm using just a little bit of watercolor. I'm activating the paint, and it's kind of like a gouache at this point. See how thick it is? This is the consistency you want if you want to do highlights. So, and I want you to just go and dab a few spots like that. See, it doesn't really show up in this light, does it? Oh yeah, okay. So this angle is good, I think. Adding a little more water. By the way, I'm working with a size 1 round brush, so it really is very small round brush. You can also use a liner brush if you like. Add a line to the top of the bill, and this is why I say the bill will get bigger. It will it will happen. So it's the reason why I recommended starting with a very thin line for the beak or for the bill. I still don't know what is what. And then here at the bottom, see very random strokes. Kind of like just dabbing a little paint onto my bird. All right. Let's see. Oh yeah, that shows up. So it truly is just as in real life with this bird, because these feathers of this bird, they don't always look so metallic bright. It really depends how the light hits the bird, which is super interesting. So I think the feathers themselves, if you just look at them, could potentially appear very dark gray or black, and you really need some light to hit them to bring out these bright blue, purple, metallic colors. So I actually heard that even birds like the blue jay, who is bright blue or appears light blue to us, is actually, the feathers look very dull gray in a certain light. So I find that really fascinating. It's like these optical illusions of things that need sunlight to hit them before they really work. Okay. Then for the lettering, I'm just gonna use a brush pen. I could also, you know what? Because I brought out my colored pencil, the bright pinkish red one, and I haven't used it. Why not use it now? Okay, so with all lettering that imitates traditional calligraphy, you want to have a thicker stroke on the downstroke. The downstroke is the one where your pen goes from the top to the bottom, like this. And you want it thicker, and then on the so-called upstroke, where your pen goes from the bottom to the top, you want it thinner. And that's pretty much the secret to making lettering appear more in the style of traditional Western calligraphy. So see here with the S, on the downstroke it gets a bit thicker. Same with the T. This is the downstroke, so thicken this up a little bit. The upstroke stays thin. Doesn't really go so well with the rest of the illustration, I don't think, just because it's not a color I really used in the bird. So let's see, I'm gonna change it. I'm gonna go in with the same Tombow color I used over here. Just add a little bit of that color at the top of all my letters. And you know what, I'm gonna stay with this side because it's a small, perfect size to finish my letters down here. Okay, and I'm gonna change this color to see if this is dry. I changed the word a little bit down here, or the style of the word. And I will be adding one of those facts or fun facts that I read to you earlier. I'm not quite sure which one. I think I'm gonna go with the torpid state, you know, where the bird can lower its heart rate so much, and that's gonna go in here. But I'm not gonna do that now because it's just, you know, plain text. It's not, I don't think it's that interesting for you guys. Okay, so, oops. Something's wrong with my phone holder. It just detached itself again from the base. Okay, let's zoom out. So, hi Kale. Is it your turn again? You having a little cameo, just like every time? Yeah? How'd you like my hummingbirds? You're not interested? No? You don't care? You don't care? Okay, that's fine. So, well, no, I'm gonna set you down again. Bye. Okay, you guys, so these are the two birds. And I must say I like the eye better on this one. It's darker, so I wonder if I maybe used a black brush pen or something to darken it. I think I might have. Yeah, it's very shiny, so I probably... Okay, I have a dog in my face now. Okay, well. So I have it's a black brush pen. I'm just gonna darken the eye a little bit. Oh, no, 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 no. Okay, okay, oh, out of my face. I'm telling you guys, this is how I paint a lot. I have this squiggly puppy in my lap who tries to get on the table. Yeah, I like that better. I think the fact that I just drew the eye with only brush pen makes it almost retreat into the bird because everything else has a brush pen layer. So making the eye darker with some ink really helps to have it stand out more. Okay, so over in the chat, Suze says, I'm not too happy with my bird, but it's my first ever bird I've drawn. Oh my gosh, yeah, don't be hard on yourself, Suze. Birds are really, really difficult the first few times. So it takes some practice to understand the shapes. And they seem so easy, and I think that makes it even harder because you think to yourself, oh, it's just a bird, it's like circle, circle, boom, done. But yeah, they definitely are kind of tricky because if the head's a bit too big, which is I think what most people do in the beginning, they make the head too big and the body too small, it looks off. Or if the beak is in a weird angle, or if the eye is too much in the back or too much in the front. So these are little things you can watch out for. Okay, Lori says, thank you for painting my favorite hummingbird. Love it. Happy Aloha Friday. Happy Aloha Friday. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed this session. It was not too frustrating for all of you who painted birds for the first time. Just, keep on. If you enjoyed painting this bird, just paint a few more. As I mentioned in the beginning of the stream, I will be traveling, so I'm going to try and host a live stream again, but I don't think it's gonna happen this month, honestly. It's gonna probably be in November for the new round of the challenge. I have to admit, I don't have the color for November yet. We have pretty much gone through all the colors already this year, so it could either be a very specific color, kind of like back in March where I had soft pink, not just pink, but soft pink. This would be an idea. Or in May, we had indigo, so instead of just blue, we had a particular color, particular blue color. I was initially thinking maybe I could do brown, but then, for a lot of you guys, it's winter, it's already kind of dull, and the weather is not so great. So I thought, maybe not. If you have something that you want as a color for November, then yeah, please write it in the comments. I'd be happy to, have a few ideas of what you would like or what you would see as a color in November. And it could be a very specific color, something like lime green or peach or or something like that. Mustard was another idea of mine too. Kind of like a very warm yellow. Okay. Tracy says shimmer. That's something I was thinking for December. Shimmer, gold and silver maybe, because yeah, holiday season. Nina says burgundy, ochre, coral. Yeah, very similar ideas. Love it. Ochre and mustard are kind of like the same color. Coral or peach. That would be beautiful. You know, you guys, there is also the option to do a month where you can choose your own color. So just as an idea, it doesn't always have to be a color that I give you, but it could also be like free choice month of color, maybe. And then Melanie says, then some bright neon color. That's actually also a good idea. Well, okay, I think I'm gonna decide between mustard ochre, the neon. I love this idea with the neon, or just leaving you the choice of color for November. Yeah, please let me know, because you guys here who are in the chat are actually the ones who participate the most in the challenge. So you should be deciding on the color. Okay, you guys. As always, I'd be super thrilled if you left me a thumbs up on this live stream and a comment down below. And I hope you enjoyed this stream. I will let you know as soon as possible when the next live stream will be. I anticipate it's going to be in the first week of November with the new round of the challenge. With my mom, hopefully. So, because I'm going to be visiting her and my family over in Germany. So, hopefully, we get to do a live stream together with Mama Takako. And I'll see you guys then. And until then, have fun with all the challenges this October. And happy creating. Aloha. Until next time. Bye.